Hi, everyone. This is Jimor. Welcome to the Perfectly Imperfect Women Summit. Today, I have a very special guest. I'm really excited to interview her. She is Kristen Darcy. She is a fertility and divorce coach and also a motivational speaker. She serves individuals with infertility challenges, also work with clinics to serve their parents patients more effectively. She is an award winning author of multiple books, including Survival Strategies for Infertility, Marriage and Life, and more. She has been highlighted in national publication and broadcast media, including NBC's The Today Show, on Women's World Magazine, and many more. So, thank you so much, Kristen, to come here today and let me interview. I'm really excited.
I'm very excited. Thank you for having me. I love the topic about, talking about how perfect we are, even when we don't believe that. So thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. So, um, so I'm going to ask bunch of questions so that we can basically what we want to highlight here today, throughout the summit, basically that how to build courage, happiness, and be present so that we can be confident in our own body.
Beautiful. That's a great mission. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Right. So, my first question is when our monkey mind triggered and we feel like lack of self worth, what can we do to interrupt those negative thoughts?
Well, in my intro that you just said of my work, I work with women who are really in life crisis. Like when infertility hits you, it's usually the first crisis for yourself and also within your marriage. And then, on the flip side of that, unfortunately, why I started working with women going through a divorce is that a lot of relationships it takes a toll when you receive that medical diagnosis. So when you're experiencing stress, we have this amazing part of our brain, the amygdala, and I always trip over that word. And its job is to trigger fight or flight. And what ends up happening when you're under stress, when you're feeling sad or feeling lack of confidence or feeling maybe hopeless, that part of our mind takes over. I wrote in one of my books, like it was like it got in the driver's seat of the bus and drove me right into like a crazy town because you become a little bit obsessive. And what can you do? So when those thoughts start coming up, the awfulizing, one of the pattern interrupts I use all the time still today is just to ask myself if that's true. Is this
Mhm.
true? Is this really true? Because what ends up happening is that we get in our mental body, we get in our mind. And that's why, the monkey mind, and we're out of our heart. So if you would just, feel yourself, I use the word triggered. When you feel yourself triggered and you feel yourself remunerating on those thoughts that are really not productive and self hurtful, self harming, just simply ask yourself, is this true?
Mm.
And then the next two questions you can ask yourself, which is really, really important, is what do I feel? What do you feel in that moment that you're feeling unworthy, or you're feeling you're not going to achieve a goal, or you're feeling hopeless? What do you feel? And just be with that feeling for a moment,
Mm.
and then ask, what do you need? What you're really doing is reparenting that part, that reparenting that triggered part with loving kindness and compassion for yourself. And it's the most beautiful medicine that you could do, because it just calms that part. It calms your system. So it would be to put your hand on your heart, ask yourself, is that really true? Is that true? Am I ugly? Am I fat? Am I, whatever those terrible things that you're saying about yourself, is that true? No, that's not true. And what do I feel? Well, I feel really sad right now. Well, what do you need? do you need to walk? Do you need to be with a friend? What do you need to do to help you? Or maybe you just need to be in that moment and feel it and write it down. But it's really a pattern interrupt into that really, broken record that gets you spiraling into a place that could be harder to get out of.
Mm, yes, it's a gold. And what you mentioned, acknowledging what's going on is always the first step before even trying to solve it, right? Because if we don't know what's going on, what I'm feeling, if I'm not acknowledging myself, then how I'm going to work on it.
Perfect. Yes, yes.
So gold. Yeah, thank you, thanks for sharing. So when bad things happen and we feel trigger in there, something we can do in the moment to quiet the pressure. So what we can do?
Well, those were the first three really good strategies that you can just kind of interrupt that. And like I said, ask yourself what you're feeling, ask yourself what you're needing,
Yeah.
and then take a time out. Don't if you're asking yourself what you're needing and you're not getting any response and you're not getting a clue, take a time out.
Mm,
Just sit for a minute and let that pass, because there's some research that that feeling will roll over you like a wave, and I think it's like 3 seconds.
mm,
And what ends up happening is when you get triggered, you trigger fight or flight or freeze, and then there's like that panic, feeling maybe that you're having, that physical reaction to that. Sometimes just sitting for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and that feeling will pass. And then maybe go to the self querying, what do I feel now?
mm.
I had a conversation not too long ago with a really wonderful friend, and I'm pretty level, and he said to me, what's going on? Like, what is really happening here? And it took a little bit for me to think about it, and I got to the core of it. And
Yeah.
you know how you get to those aha moments, like, oh, okay, I know what really is behind in the middle of this
Yeah.
onion.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, and then it's released. I say to my kids all the time, about the Shrek movie, and if some of my clients are watching, they know I say this. Like, Shrek talks about gas like better out than in, and that's how it is with your feelings. The more you shove them down, or the more you don't acknowledge them, the louder they get. They get
Mm,
super loud, and that's their job. That's the job of our wonderful system, to
mm.
say, hey, there's something that needs to be healed here. Take a peek at me. And I think we've become so like it's an adversarial relationship with our inner conversation, that we think that trigger is something negative, which really it can feel that way, but it will move through. So I think what we talked about was, self-querying, what do I feel, what do I need, and then just letting it be wave over you. Ride the wave.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that when you say it's like ask, answer is in ourselves. Sometime a friend, someone who knows you can just, hey, like point you, but that is a great support. Having a support system is also a very important. So thanks, that's really good advice. So you have created a everyday certainty system by your own trials and error in your life. So can you tell us about it more?
Sure. This is really goes in line of what we're talking about. When I was 22, I opened my own preschool. I had 28 little wonderful beings. And when I started to try to create my family, it just didn't happen.
Mm,
And it was like I was in this nirvana, but I wasn't able to really, create my family. And at the time, I had this amazing friend who was a psychologist that worked with my parents and my staff and my school for support. And going through infertility, he said to me, I don't even recognize you. Like, you don't even have any ounce of gratitude anymore. And at the time, I was also doing some corporate training. So during the day, I was running my business and then doing some corporate training and really helping people achieve goals that they didn't think was possible. And at night, I would come home and say, I'm not, I'm just can't, I can't do this. So I created this system kind of by trial and error because I was running around doing everything, trying to get pregnant, trying to be a mom. And so the first thing is really from that conversation with my friend is to write 10 things that you're grateful for every day.
Mm.
And way back when, my son is going to be 23. So way back when, that wasn't in the ether like it is now, writing your
Yeah.
gratitude down, that
Yeah.
was kind of the beginning of that kind way of healing. So
Yeah.
it really is writing down 10 things that you're grateful for each day. And what that became was my mantra when those monkey thoughts came in.
Okay.
When you have a stressor, an outside stressor, and then you're, awfulizing. I remember driving to the fertility clinic with my white knuckles, like realizing like I was holding onto the steering wheel with so much stress. And in that moment of acknowledging that, I would start with my gratitude list. I'm so grateful that I have gas in my car. I'm so grateful I have clean sheets and I had coffee this morning. And,
Mm.
I have my health. I can drive to the doctor's office. And then at night, when I couldn't fall asleep, that same list became what I said over and over and over again. And what you're doing is creating a new neural net within your brain. Literally,
Mm.
brain neural nets that fire together stay together. So the more you awfulize, that net gets stronger and stronger. But the more you elevate it and think, oh my gosh, this stinks, just saying it out loud, whatever situation, a divorce, a breakup, a loss, whatever traumatic event in your life, acknowledging that it stinks and then acknowledging all the other blessings. It's just so powerful. So every day during a course of 21 days, I ask, through this program that you write 10 things you're grateful for. You set an intention, and you are so powerful. That was the first thing out that you said, your intention for this summit.
Yeah.
And I talk to my clients that we're so used to kind of being rote that we don't put our order out. There's some magical force in the universe that when you put your order out, like in Massachusetts where I live, we have Dunkin' Donuts, and you drive up and you say, I want my coffee such and such. And you don't think about who's making it or if the temperature's okay or anything. You just drive around and get your
Yeah.
coffee. And
Yeah.
that's the same premise for an intention. You
Mm.
speak clearly what you want, not what you don't want.
Mm. Wow. Couple of things I never thought that speak what you want, what you don't want. So, and actually, I write gratitude for me, but not consistent. You inspired me now more being consistent. Why it can stuck in our brain, and it's actually basically training your brain, being seeing the positivity in your life,
Right.
right?
I just had a amazing client go through a IVF cycle and got that news that everyone going through that wants to hear, and then she had a miscarriage, and she called me and said she's profoundly sad. She's profoundly sad and dealing with the loss. But she said to me, you know what, Kristen, when you first had me do the gratitude, I thought it was a cute exercise and something to do. And she said, but if I wasn't doing that for this whole period of time, I don't think I would be in the place that I am dealing with this
Mhm.
trauma. So
Wow.
it's powerful and it's very simple, and some of my clients who are very auditory, they say their gratitude list into their phone and
Hmm.
then they listen to it, which is so neat. And so,
Oh, that's a good way. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So the first thing that's very powerful. And then, like I said, your intention. And people think an intention has to be this big, huge paragraph. But when you wake up in the morning and you put your feet on the floor, a simple thank you is an intention. Simply stating, I move through today with grace and ease,
Yeah.
that's putting everybody on attention that, okay, make everything move with grace and ease. And
Yeah.
the last thing daily is a nurturing item. And
Mm.
I'm sure if you heard me speak before, people are sick of this, but I have a $14.99 milk frother I got from Target, and I heat up my milk in the morning for my coffee, and I froth it, and I have my coffee, and I say my prayers, and that's my nurturing item, and it has been for decades, and that just fills me up.
Yeah.
And most of the time, when you're feeling imperfect, when you're feeling kind of out of sorts with yourself, it's because you're not tender, loving, caring yourself. And one small item a day fills your cup so you can fill everybody else who needs you.
Mm. I love that. I love the part nurturing item. It's so important, and I can see it can motivate us because life happens. It's not going to be again all the time perfect. So we need this kind of tools, right? So
Yeah.
thank you sharing. And also I want to mention thanks for sharing about your friend who went through miscarriage. I have few friends who went through really bad miscarriage, and I couldn't say much. So I if some women, I'm sure women going to watch this interview who went through this, so for you guys, a really great advice, Kristen offer, that writing gratitude every day. It's a journey, it's a process. It's not going to come to you, heal you overnight, but if you guys do that, I believe, as Kristen says, you will start healing, right?
Right. I think with when I lost my first baby through a miscarriage or an ectopic pregnancy, what was so powerful with some of my friends was just to come and sit with me,
Oh,
just to be in the silence. And I think for us, us women always feel like the nurturing part, you have to do something, but just
true.
sitting with someone and just being there and witnessing,
Yeah.
witness the trauma of, this horrific loss is so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. We just need someone beside, not talking, just
Yes,
just
just
be
there,
silent and listen. Yeah, we
just
all
there.
need that. Yeah, that's another goal. Thank you. So, why is this important to growth and acceptance of self?
I think especially now what I'm seeing with a lot of the younger women that are my clients, there's there's so much coming at women. There's so much through social media, there's
Yeah.
so much in the media, there's so much in just the collective that you know we need to shift that. We need to
Mhm.
shift that globally, and you start with yourself.
Yeah.
You start with the shift within about great acceptance, lack of judgment, the surrender to who you are and the brilliance. And, part of that everyday certainty system is the first part is really doing a dreams list.
Mm.
And your dreams list becomes your goals, right? And way back when I did that, it was still, I was in this hard driving type A personality that, I'm just going to make this happen and we're going to get this done. And I think for now, it's so important for us women to learn to sit in our hearts, learn to access that heart, divine, feminine energy that is always available and who we are in our hearts.
Mm.
And one last tip I'll talk about is really just putting your hand on your heart and closing your eyes and listening within. And it's so important to ground yourself in your power because you're very powerful. We've been, unfortunately, um, made to believe we're not. everyone here has a light that needs to shine. And
Yeah.
that that's that's our power collectively. And that's why this is so important, that you're bringing everyone together, in a heart-centered place for healing and for love. So yay.
Yes, yes. I love that what you said. Everyone has light that need to shine. I know when most of us went through dark places, and that time we feel like there is no light. If everything is so difficult, so this is a great mantra to remind ourselves during those days as well. Thank
Yeah,
you. It
thank
was really
you,
great.
sweetheart.
Thank you so much. So I know you have a really special gift for all of our viewer. Would you like to share with us?
Sure, I'd love to gift everyone the Everyday Certainty system and a downloaded pocket companion so that you can keep it all together for 21 days. And you can do that through my website, which is kristendarcy.com. And also, I offer an initial complimentary coaching session. So
Love
if
it.
you download that and need to talk to someone while you're doing that, feel free to reach out for that too. So you can find that on my website.
All right. Yes, and I'll also send the link to all the viewer so that they can download it. And yeah, if someone wants to talk to Kristen, she is, as you can see, she is wonderful, loads of wisdom. She has more than 20 years of experience. So please contact her through her website. I will give all the details. So I'm sure a lot of women has been supported by you and will be support. So I'm really excited for their journey.
Oh, honey, great blessings on this offering. It's so special. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. I am really grateful you're here, and thanks again. That's it for today.
Bye bye.